And I thought to go a quick Week in Geek video, considering a lot of geeky stuff happened last week with the 30th anniversary of a certain 8-bit system that a lot of people love, dear to their hearts. Which was released in Japan, known as the Sega Master System. Had plenty of great memories of that later on in my life. However, when I was a kid, the other system that was released 30 years ago in the US was the Nintendo. And how fitting the fact that I actually did pick up this book in Barnes & Noble that has both NES and Master System games. But I figured the best way to actually talk about both systems would not be just go through magazines with hardware specs like this one, another retro gamer book that just came out, but to actually show you some gameplay footage of a few retro games / homebrews that I've actually downloaded recently. So without further ado, I'll go into that. Okay, as alluded to previously, the NES is now entering its 30-year anniversary, so what better way to celebrate it than to talk about some games released on that system. And I know the Master System was also released, so let me start off by playing this game called Love Story, which appears to be kind of a Halloweenish type game, which is perfect for this time of the year. So I'll go ahead and pick the dude. And of course I got the NES, I got 6 games. Actually, one was a 3-in-1, which was Super Mario Bros. 1, Super Mario Bros. 1, Duck Hunt, and the Power Pack, because I had what people call the complete set, but it was actually called the Power Set. So I got the Power Pack as well as the Zapper, and then the 3 games I got along with it. Actually make it 7 games total. Now I think about it, was a 2-pack, which is Donkey Kong Jr., no, it's Donkey Kong Classics, Karate Kid, and finally Pac-Man. Then the following year, for my birthday, I got Super Mario Bros. 2. Then that Christmas, I got the first Ninja Turtles game. As a kid, I was all hyped because I'm like, hey, I can play Turtles on my TV and actually interact with them. But the game, as the AVG and the other reviews on YouTube has already expressed, was not all that good. Another game that I got, 2 more games I got that year were, of course, Ghostbusters! Again, that's another game that excited me a lot because I love the Ghostbusters cartoon. But, unfortunately, the game was basically a reprint of a very bad Atari 2600 game that actually played even worse on the NES. And in some aspects, it looked worse. And speaking about my birthday when I got Super Mario Bros. 2, this reminds me very much of Super Mario Bros. 2 as far as background and layout is concerned, even on the enemies. And these guys kind of remind me of the Wind Nuts from Zelda, where you gotta find a weak spot, otherwise you're not gonna do any damage. And then of course you have the Octoroks, like these guys right here. And there are a lot of cheap hits and cheap deaths. And of course the ice level from Mario Bros. 2 and 3. And I just got killed by spikes and ice. Gotta love the typical Nintendo stuff like that. And so I keep getting killed to death in this one, I'll pick another game. Let's try Flappy Blocks, was pretty much, I think I'm gonna try that. You just heard me, I said it right, Flappy Blocks, Flappy Blocks, Blocks. AKA Flappy Birds, but for the NES. In this game, you need a lot of concentration, or else you will get killed to death by the pipes. Mario style, laugh out loud. And ironically, before I had the NES when I was I believe I got my NES when I was in the 1st grade. Years before that, I was actually playing on my sister's old Atari 800, which was my first series of video games. And the Atari 800 had a lot of 2600 games on there, so we had Pac-Man. I know the 2600 version of Pac-Man wasn't the greatest. You know, I did rectify it a few Christmases later when I got my NES and got the near arcade perfect version of Pac-Man on that system. But as a 3-year-old, I love Pac-Man on the Atari. Okay, I'll admit it. I actually love Pac-Man on the Atari. And of course, we had Space Invaders and then an ultra awesome version of Asteroids on the same machine. And then, of course, fast forward a few years later when I got the NES, a lot of fun memories on that. And might as well talk about the other system I got right afterwards, was the Sega Genesis that never had the Master System. Even though I did have fun with that later on, as well as the Game Gear via emulation. But yeah, as a kid, I just went straight from the NES to the Genesis. Never did get the Master System converter box either. But that also had its anniversary early last week as well. So last week we saw the NES turn 30 years old for the American release, and the Master System or associated Mark III turned 30 over in Japan. And speaking about other things that happened within the 30 years, or 30 years Back to the Future, the events of Back to the Future 2 actually did take place 30 years. Well, actually, the events that happened in Back to the Future Part 2 should have took place as of Wednesday of last week, but we all know that half the stuff didn't even happen. Payphones are no longer in existence. Video phones are in existence thanks to Skype. Hoverboard is basically still in development and only in prototype form, like a certain game on the Dreamcast, which I reviewed earlier this week, or earlier last week. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So yeah, that didn't really come to fruition either. But as you can see here, NES served its purpose, got me into gaming more than anything else, as well as Master System. Came back to Nintendo years later with the Wii, but stayed faithful to them with the portables, because that's one thing they've always been good with portables. Even with the Game Boy, people were complaining about, it's black and white, but it still was a cool system. Actually, a few more things I want to talk about, namely the fact that this week, or should I say last week, we finally saw a new trailer for Star Wars Episode 7, so we definitely got to celebrate that coming out. So that's something to look forward to. Definitely watch this Christmas season. So, yeah, we can look at that. We got that to look forward to. And speaking of Star Wars, you guys may... Here we go. Wait a minute. In other geek news, the new Star Wars movie got a new trailer last week, which I'm playing is Clone Space Invaders on the NES. Figured that'd be perfect timing for that. And speaking about Star Wars, I know Relentless Jake was actually talking about doing another interactive workout featuring Star Wars as a possibility after doing a successful Zombie Run video, and I have a link to the Zombie Run video at the bottom of this video. Definitely check it out and check out his channel. He has a lot of great and helpful fitness advice on there as well. So as a fellow geek that's into fitness, I definitely had to spot him, as well as Aaron Brooks as always, and definitely check out American Muscle. Alright guys, this time I think I actually really am done with this. However, there's one more thing I gotta bring up. For people that try to protest the new Star Wars movie, I think I have to give Hasbro a message. Hasbro, for the protesters, and just start releasing extra figures for Lando from Empire Strikes Back, as well as Mace Windu from the original prequels and Clone Wars. I think they'll definitely appreciate that. Release that, and that should solve everything. Alright guys, without further ado, peace out, keep lifting, keep gaming, keep having fun with tech, and live with life in general. Alright, peace out.